So, welcome to this talk. My name is Alex, and in this talk I want to share with you what is, in my opinion, one of the most important words in the English language, and that word is relax. Because relaxation is the actual antidote to fear. Because when you understand that fear, when it enters our body, manifests as tension, as a contraction of the muscles. So whenever we're afraid, then our body is contracted and tense in various parts, but usually it's our heart. So when we have a fearful thought, at that same time that thought enters our body as tension, and we feel tension and tightness in our heart. That's what fear is. That's what fear, the fear in our body is. And so when our body's relaxed, when our heart is relaxed, it is impossible to be in a state of fear. And I know that for a fact, because I've been practicing this for over 15 years, how to let go of fear and how not to be in a state of fear. And for me, this is one of the most important things I can share with you, is that you can't be afraid, you can't be feeling afraid when your body's relaxed. And most importantly, when your heart is relaxed. It's impossible to be afraid. Because if there's no tension in your heart, then there's no fear. There can't be fear there. That means the fearful thought isn't able to control your heart. Does that make sense? Because usually we have a thought, and that thought can influence the state of our heart. It can make our heart joyful, it can make our heart excited, it can make our heart afraid, anxious. So, but if we can allow our heart to be kind of, how can I say this? Not influenced by our what's going on in our mind. So we can have any kind of thought, and our heart can stay at peace. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So the thought can be extremely exciting, extremely terrifying. No matter what the thought is, no matter how unappealing and scary that thought may appear to be, it doesn't affect our heart. Our heart stays in peace. Our heart stays open and happy. It's immune to what thoughts are going on in your mind. And this is really, really important. This is, in my opinion, the most important piece of understanding I can share with you, is that we have to learn how to make our heart kind of sovereign over our mind. So our heart is in control of our mind. Because at the moment, our mind is in control of our heart. We can have any kind of thought, and our heart will react with fear, anxiety, joy, happiness. It doesn't matter. Our heart is completely dependent on the state of our mind. It's at the mercy of our mind and at the mercy of our thoughts. So if our heart is in control of our thoughts, then that means, wow, that is such a good thing when our heart is in control of our thoughts. Because our heart wants to love, and our heart wants to share its light and share its joy. Our heart wants to give, our heart wants to heal, our heart wants to do so many beautiful things. And then if we start thinking, if we put our mind in service to our heart, then our mind will start thinking up ways how it can follow the heart's orders, how it can bring about more healing, how it can share more of its love and joy, how it can help more people, how it can give more, how it can transmit more joy to the world. Those are the questions our heart will be asking of our mind. So our mind will be put in service to those questions, to fulfill those questions and find ways to do all those wonderful things. And that's how we're meant to be. Our heart is meant to be in control of our thoughts, in control of our mind, in charge of our mind. So the mind is like a servant to the heart. The mind is like a mechanical tool, or a intelligence that is in service to this love. And so it just goes about fulfilling its orders and carrying out in this world what the heart wants, which is to just share light, share love, share beauty. It's the most fantastic vision of paradise you could ever imagine. And our heart wants to create that on this planet. It knows how to, by the way. It knows how to. But it needs the mind in its service. The mind needs to be in service to the heart. And then our mind is used for the purposes of the heart. So this is the big problem we have, because our heart is in service to our mind. Our heart is a slave to our mind and to the thoughts that go through our mind. So and this is why our heart is constantly suffering, and our heart can sometimes feel weak, and we're unpredictable. Our heart is unpredictable because our mind is constantly interfering with its state of peace. Our mind is constantly destabilizing it with its disturbing ideas and fearful visions, and that, the heart is very sensitive, and so we're really torturing the heart. The mind is essentially torturing the heart. All those fearful thoughts we get involved with, all those negative visions, all those fearful expectations, that's so painful to the heart, to have to be at the mercy of those things. They're like barbed thoughts that really hurt the heart. So we really have to address this and understand how our heart comes first. And we prioritize our heart. We actually prioritize the peace and joy of our heart, that we make that our priority, that our heart is healthy and really able to be strong in joy and strong in peace and strong in love. And if we're strong in that way and we're kind of unshakable in that way, which is a really good thing to develop, if we can be unshakable in that way, then there's no way our mind is going to control our heart. Then our heart is in charge, and it decides what it wants the mind to do to help fulfill its vision of paradise. And we start where we are, and of course that expands outwards. But that's the mind's job, and that's the heart's job. And essentially, there can be no fear in the heart. When the heart is in charge, there can be no fear there. Because the heart, when it's open and not being interfered with by our thoughts, when the heart is open and strong, then it's like a flower. It just receives light. The petals receive light. They suck in God's light. Our heart is like a sponge. It just absorbs God's light. And there's no room for fear. There's no fear can't get in there.